For those in the know, there were always places in central Melbourne where camp people could gather. As early as the 40s and 50s, there were pubs and cafes where, as long as people were discreet, their presence would be tolerated. What shaped this, amongst other things, was the fact that Melbourne had, until 1966, a law that said that pubs had to close by 6 p.m. and restaurants had to stop serving alcohol at 8. This really shaped the kind of social lives that people could have. But after 1966, when the law was changed, everything else began to change as well, in particular for camp social life. By the mid-1970s, there were a number of different gay venues emerging in the central city. Not gay bars in the modern sense as we understand it, but places that were more open about who they were appealing to and who they would welcome. There was Isabella's, there was the University Club, there was the Anglers Club, but the most important of them all perhaps was Annabels, tucked down a small laneway in central Melbourne. It was famous for being the first place in Melbourne that welcomed gay people 7 days a week. The building itself has a great history. It was originally the German club, but was seized during World War I and handed over to the Army and Navy Club instead. It's hard to imagine what any of those people must have made of the place that it became in the 1970s, when Glenn Waller, whose family had a history in managing bars, took it over. He was a man who knew what he was doing, and Annabel's success reflected this. It's a very grand building. Inside there's a sweeping staircase that takes people to the upper floor, where there was the bar and the restaurant. Annabel's was famous for serving good food, which was more notable than it might seem. In those days, under the new 10 o'clock licensing laws, food had to be served, but most licensees restricted their offerings to tired party pies and sus-looking frankfurters. When Annabel's offered good food, it was doing something very new. Annabel's was rather community-minded. It organised picnics, and on Christmas Day it organised an orphan's dinner for those who had nowhere else to go. It also had a social club called Blades, which organised dances in different suburbs around Melbourne. Annabel's represented something very new. It was quite open according to what was possible at the time, but it also represented a kind of community spirits that most of the newly emerging gay bars simply didn't have.